and I certainly wouldn't agree to come down here unless I want to see, I would say I want to see some effects of some of the hard work, if you don't mind. Otherwise I ain't going to that planet. I know the aspect of that's Mary from wherever I'm from is going to say, no way, Jose, because I'm not one of those that would do anything for a waste of time. So I know there's some good effect going to happen, because not only me, but I think many of these other souls would not come down here if ultimately it wasn't worth it.
So you've mentioned the Star Children.
Yes.
You would have had, I mean, Dr. Boylan, Dr. Richard Boylan, he's formed a club or whatever.
Yeah, the Star Kids project, and it's you know, it's basically what Dr. Boylan's doing, and others that see these new children coming in. It's about providing a place for those families that are, you know, have the children and are probably star seeds themselves, to, again, you know how you were talking about not being judged and being able to say your truth and speak your truth without people looking at you strangely, calling you names. And this is the whole thing. What we have on this planet is a discrimination against personal reality. And that is the worst discrimination of all, because it says you can't be you. You have to conform to this box, and if you don't fit in this box, there's something wrong with you. Where most of us don't fit in that box anyway, so we're constantly in conflict between who we really are and what we're being forced to be. And now is the time to say, I don't want to fit in that box, and I have no intention of fitting in that box. And you can say what you like, but this is me. Personal sovereignty and mutual respect and self-respect. Yes. Which is lovely. So you've met some of these children. You've seen I
them.
have met so many, it would blow your mind. And some of the things these children say are so wise. I mean, they are the sages. They're coming in now as teachers to all of us, even though they might be 5 years old and we're 55 years old. They're showing us aspects of themselves all the time. And that's the, you know, where parents will tell me what little, you know, one little girl less than 2 years old said to her father, I want to go to bed now because I want to go home. Wow. You get one young lady saying at 5 years old to her mother, you know you're not my real mother. My mother's in space, and you're just here to look after me. And I don't really look like this. And her mother said, well, you know, what do you look like? Can you draw it? And she says, no, because you'd be frightened. This is a 5-year-old girl saying this. Wow. And there's a beautiful book, Does It Rain in Other Dimensions, by Mike Oram, a good friend of mine. He's nearly, you know, in his late 50s now. When he was 4 years old, he said the same thing to his mother. You're not my real mother, my mother's, I come from space. And he said, there's going to be a shift of consciousness on this planet. Not in your lifetime, but in mine. Wow, and he was 4 years old at the time. I mean, he's almost, you know, his late 50s now. These things would be hard to take for the parents. The parents that don't understand. There are some parents that do. There are some parents that have no idea why their children talk this way. One 5-year-old saying to his mother, I don't mind going through the walls, and they teach me more on the ships than I learn at school, and I'll introduce them to you one day. Beautiful. It does me good to hear these stories, because I've wondered, you know, I've been in the bookstores, I've read the books, New Age children, Indigo children, wow, that'd be great, where are they? And then I walk down the street and I go, is that one? And that looks pretty. and I haven't seen them, but they're everywhere. They're everywhere. There are so many of them, but most parents, you know, it's not something you talk about generally. A child saying this. One little 4-year-old saying to his mum that, you know, the little beings, he called them little black grey beings, come and visit him and play with him, and they're very, very friendly. And he says, but I don't like them touching me because their skin feels like dolphins. Of course, very early on, people of our age, well, you can say that, because no, I think that's great. I don't know what your age is, but I'm going to go with that. Because I feel pretty ancient most of the time, so no, keep going with that one. Have been memories, you know, have been repressed very early on, and the lid's been closed very tightly. Yes. So it must be a little bit different with the children coming up now. They must have the support, more support around them
that they're able to say these things, and it's able to grow, and they won't have to go through another 20 or 30 years before they say, hey, hold on. So I hope that is, I mean,
there's a certain more openness, I think, in these generations to the generations where I certainly grew up, where unless you had very open-minded parents, but you do know that it goes down genetic lines anyway, so that you might find, you know, a father or a mother being a little bit more open. But I've had so many people come to me of my generation saying to me that they would be told off if they talked about anything they experienced, and they would be told not to, and in fact almost abused for it. So scared to say anything anymore because it was wrong that they would shut down intuitively completely, even if they were seeing other beings, seeing energies, being aware of that other realm, would be so terrified of talking about it because it was wrong.
Because they had to survive.
Yeah.
This was their fathers, their mothers saying, no.
It's not okay.
It's not okay. And
that's right.
What else do you do but shut down?
Shut down. And many of them are left in this conflict of realities because they don't know. They'll say to me, I never knew what was real, because they couldn't in the end work out how to separate it out. So they were left in constant conflict between the two realities that caused enormous pain to them, until later on they started to gradually open up and to honour this for themselves when they no longer felt the judgment that was there. But also very aware that their children, when they would come out and say these things, that to actually say, look, it's okay that you see this, and if you have an imaginary friend, it may not be so imaginary, actually. That when you see colours, one woman had a 10-year-old son who'd been sick, and she went in his room, and she said he was looking in what looked like into space, and she said, well, what are you looking at? He said, I'm looking at my blue energy body. I can see the blocks of where I'm sick. In a few days it will be gone.
Wow.
10-year-old boy. Walking down the street, he said to her, quite spontaneously, 30% ET genes, 50%, 80%, and he was literally pointing out, he could energetically pick out their mix of genetic material.
That is phenomenal. This
is a little young man in Perth. Parents will tell me things they've never told anyone else, because it's not okay to talk normally about this to anyone, especially as most people, you know, as soon as you talk about eating, you can talk about angels now, you can talk about fairies, you can talk about spirits, but don't talk about a bald-headed guy with black eyes, because then you have lost the plot. It's the final barrier to acceptance. And that's why even spiritualists, those that are generally one would consider more open, I have met many spiritualists come to me and saying, it's fine in my circle to talk about angels and my guides and spirits, but I see ETs and I can't talk about it because they don't want to hear it. So again, what is the block? What is it that frightens people to actually take on board the fact that we're not alone, and that these are, you know, we are in a universe of intelligences of all kinds, all shapes, all forms.
The most basic understanding, the most basic, no, we're not alone in the universe. I mean, it should be simple, it should be obvious. I mean, there are plenty of stars.
Logically, it's absolutely obvious, but it's interesting how intellectually a lot of people can take that on board. But for goodness sake, don't actually say they're visiting us right now, and that they're visiting people in their homes, and people are going up onto spaceships and being educated, which they are, and being taught the real nature of our origins, and being shown things, being taught quantum physics at 3 years old, because these are what my clients tell me. And these are people that, you know, a lot of them have got a very, very credible policemen, doctors, nurses, lawyers, the whole range of what we consider credible people. Sadly, we believe people who have pieces of paper rather than the average human being who doesn't, but we won't go into that limit that we have in human society. But that's the case.
Because they have pieces of paper, they have an intellectual
standard
to defend. Anyway, I won't go on with that.
Won't go with that one.
Val Osborne, one of my, he researches an alternate history to Australia. He's found evidence of mining throughout by the ancient Phoenicians throughout Australia,
yes,
for gold and tin. and